All right, officially welcome to Ask Me Anything Live on what is today, December 7th. Hope you guys are doing well. If you're here with me and you're able to either unmute or go live, you're welcome to pop on and ask a question and see if I can give you some help. Apologize, my kids are upstairs by themselves right now. So we'll see how this goes. Hi, Nan.
Hi, Heather. How are you
Oh, let's
doing?
see. I can't hear anything. Do I have my
Oh,
sound? Is it turned all the way down? There we go. Try again.
okay.
There you go.
Hi.
Now I can hear you.
Okay. How are you doing?
Oh, I'll be honest, it's been a hard morning already. I think I'm losing my VA, who's been amazing. She's
Oh,
also a mom. Yep, she's a mom, and she's got four boys. And like so many of us, her little family is struggling in COVID to stay on top of kids and school and behavioral
yeah.
challenges. And my little guy is ADHD and autistic, and so I just had a really emotional call with his therapist. And it's hard. Like reality is kind of tough right now, and these little kiddos who cannot get the support that they need.
Yes, that is for sure.
Yeah, how are
Oh,
you?
I'm good all around, and I'm also tired. I'm just
Yeah.
overall tired.
Oh my goodness, I know. See, look at me getting emotional. That's just the reality. I think so many people, I mean, I know over here we feel like we've been in a 10-month sprint now.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people can relate. And sorry, I just keeping it real over here. I don't hide my emotions very well. So
Well, I have to say, I was just 5 minutes ago, I was tearing up myself because I couldn't figure something out
yeah,
with my tech, and that always just gives me so much frustration.
yeah,
So
totally.
I got to get help there too.
Yes. Well, we all have to get the help we need, right? In some way,
Yes.
we try. Well, how can I help you?
Well, I popped on today because I've got a new website that I
Congrats.
hired an incredible woman to design it. My question today is, in doing that, I
Hmm.
realized that I've got a signature process in my
Ah,
business.
uh-huh.
And I don't know if I need to trademark that, if I
Good
need to
question.
recognize it, or do I need to
Hmm.
own it? So what
Hmm.
do I do about a process?
Great question. Such a good question. So for other people listening and for folks accessing the recording, I've had this question a lot recently where people realize like you've got a system or a framework or seven steps that you do things a certain way. And how do you protect that, right? So depending on what it is, it used to be, and a lot of like mechanical systems and processes are protected by patents. I don't live in the patent world, and so I'm not going to be the person to be able to provide a lot of advice on patents. But what I can tell you in regards to copyrights and trademarks is that trademarks protect titles, business names, single words or short phrases, logos, right? You can also get a trademark around a design logo. Um, Copyrights, though, can help protect what you're talking about. And so let's talk about how copyrights protect our work. One, the really important key to remember is that they don't protect, copyright does not protect the idea itself, it protects your expression of the idea, right? So what that means is, do you have your system or process expressed somewhere? Does it take tangible form? Do you want it to? Meaning, is it something that you're going to be outwardly teaching, or is it more like a trade secret where people don't actually know that that's what you're doing, but you've got a secret seven-step system that you're walking them through without actually labeling it or naming it or selling that process or framework, right? So it partly depends. Is it part of the information that you are selling essentially through your services, your trainings, your whatever? Or is it more of a trade secret that is like the way that you operate inside of your business, and that's definitely not something that you want disclosed. Does that make sense?
It does.
Because a
Yes.
trade secret you protect very differently. You don't put it in something that would be copyrighted. You don't put it out into the world. It's definitely something that you keep very close to your vest inside of your business, and you protect it with NDAs. If other people are exposed to it, like independent contractors or somebody that comes into your business, right? You have them sign appropriate documentation that they're not going to take that system or framework outside of your business and do anything with it. That help?
Yes, it does. For me, mine is in the first category, so it's not a secret.
Okay.
And it's the first step in my work with in-person clients.
Got it. So in that instance, here's what I would say is, does it live somewhere? Have you put it into a video tutorial, or would you consider doing that, right? Because you need to express it in some way that really captures your framework or system or whatever it is. And then you go pursue a copyright registration on that, right? So whether it's a workbook, whether it's an article, whether it's, one of the modules inside your course, right? Somehow you have to, sorry, I'm hearing my daughter scream. Somehow you have to convey the idea. You have to put it into tangible form before you can seek a federal level registration around that.
Okay, so what if it's just on my website? I've just explained it on my website.
Yeah, so you can get protection for a published website. There is some question about whether that really constitutes publishing under the copyright rules, and so it's better if you are putting it inside of materials that do end up in clients' hands that they're paying for,
Okay.
right, as part of a training. So if there's a way for you to distill it into a video training, into a workbook, into documentation that becomes part of the course, right? Because then it really is in the stream of commerce. You're using that in commerce. People are consuming it and they're paying for it, and it becomes protectable.
Interesting. Okay. Because, okay, so I need to turn it, it's like, it's sort of similar to a blog post. Like I need to have it in writing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, you need to have it in some tangible form. It could be writing, could be a video tutorial. Copyright protects a variety of ways that we express our ideas, right? The same reason that can protect audio recordings, right? So you could do an audio training, you could do a video training, you could write an article, you could, create a worksheet around it or whatever. But, the question to ask yourself is what do you think is the best format for capturing your particular expression of that idea or that system or process that makes it, first of all, very unique to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And protectable. That when somebody sees it used in commerce later, they go, oh, that's an Ann system, right? Have you labeled it a certain way? Have you, there are various ways to create a framework that has, more, what is the word I'm looking for? Relationship to you and your brand, right? Using the words that you choose. And so you want to look at that and say, like, how do I create this and express it in a way that makes people realize it's mine? And so, coming up with a title for it. Like I teach my 5 bucket framework on business protection, right? I literally have created 5 buckets and and people teach the content that I teach. They just don't teach it in the way that I teach it, right? So again, it's not the idea that is protected. It's your expression of the idea. Like other people teach on corporate structures. Other people teach on business contracts. Other people teach on these concepts. But the way that I put them together and teach on them for myself is really unique to me, right? So that's what you're going after is the expression of your system or framework. Like, have you titled it in a way that makes it unique to you? Have you set it up in a way that shows that it's not just generic statements coming from the marketplace that already exists?
Okay. And then once I've got that thing, would I contact you again to figure out
So,
like
yep, I can help people
general?
with copyright. Yep, copyright registrations. Some people pursue them themselves, right? So, some people can go to the USPTO and do a copyright registration, depending on how you submit it. If you want to do it online, there's a digital way that you can submit digital proof, right? So, some people apply for and submit copyright registration filings themselves. So, there's a variety of options for you.
Okay, USPTO.
They have a
Okay.
copyright office. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. Good to see you, Nan. Hang in
Good to see
there.
you too. Thank you. You too.
Yes. Hello, Arlene and Danielle. How are you guys?
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
I can. Is this Arlene?
Yes,
Yes. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Yes. How can I help you?
Well, um, I liked what you said. I got all that to do too. But I do psychotherapy
Oh, okay.
and I work with couples.
Mm-hmm.
However, what I do in therapy with couples is different than what I want to do. I'm wanting to separate myself off from that, and I'm in the process of putting together online courses. And my goal is to do the teaching that would help people have a strong relationship so that they don't have to come to therapy.
Right. No, I totally get it. So great question. I handle this one all the time. And I want to point out, sorry for my tired brain. I said USPTO. I meant the United States Copyright Office is where you go for copyright registrations. Um, and I put the link in the comment. So Arlene, you're talking about having both a coaching business separate and apart from your therapy practice, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
So
need it very separate.
what was that?
I need to have it very
Right.
separate.
I get it. I get it, which is why I talk about these things. So, because you're a licensed professional, and Arlene, where are you based?
In California,
Okay.
is
Um,
that-
y yeah, absolutely. And it really, regardless of where you're based, I just like to know in case I have a contact for you or something. But for anybody that is a licensed professional, myself included, we have to be very careful. Like even on this call, I'm not giving specific legal advice, right? I'm giving general legal information to support people. But for somebody in your shoes,
Great to see the weed people.
oh, here, I'm going to do mute really quick. Sorry. If you just came in, I just muted you so that I can answer Arlene's question real quick. So, Arlene, for anybody that's a licensed professional, we all have to think about what the requirements are of our primary profession, right? And so you start by understanding what your licensing regulations are in regards to your profession. And then, and hopefully you've got like an LLC or PLLC or professional corporation or something set up for your primary practice. Most people do, unless they're utilizing their licensed profession as an employee. So, for example, a registered nurse that is employed by a hospital, right? She wouldn't have her own business set up in most circumstances.
mine is not set up as a corporation at all.
Okay, so are you just a sole proprietor then?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, the backtracking a little bit, the first place I start with folks around any business formation is, do you have personal assets that are worth protecting, right? Do you have a home? Do you have bank accounts? Do you have a vehicle? Like, do you have any amount of personal assets? Some people are judgment proof. Like, I'm not asking this question to be silly. Some people literally just,
I understand the question. Yes.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
answer is
So the first step is getting incorporated, right? Including in your professional practice. Some people would, at least at minimum have professional liability insurance, right? Errors and omission for their professional practice. And so hopefully you've got that. But certainly for your coaching business, you want to house that entirely under a separate entity. You do not want to be a sole proprietor and have both of those things essentially living in the same space, which, let's be clear, also exist in the same space as your personal assets, right? So if you make a mistake as a therapist or as a coach, right, and you don't have business entities set up, then your bank accounts are at risk, your personal home, if you're in a married relationship, and you live in a community property state, the assets of your spouse are at risk. So that's not a place that I'd like for any of my clients to be, or any of my, we'll call them students on calls like this. Hello, Larissa, good to see you. And so the first step, Arlene, is, examining how to set up incorporated businesses, hopefully for both of those businesses, so that you can show it every step of the way. Your coaching practice lives over here, your professional license practice lives here, right? And then the next thing to consider is what is the way that you are delivering your services through the coaching business. And I ask that because you don't really want it to look like the way that you're delivering services over here in your professional license practice, right?
My goal is to do online courses.
Perfect. So an online course is going to be a great fit for that coaching business because it's general information, that you provide to a whole group. It's not specific and tailored to any one individual, right? You want to stay away from basically every interaction that you have with a potential client, or we'll call them a customer, if they're like just going through an automated online course, is you don't want in their minds for there to be any confusion about what they're consuming. If they think that they are working with you or hiring you as a professional licensed therapist, you want to deal with that immediately. And that's why disclaimers, that's why being really vocal about your services and where you're working at any given time, right? So as a coach, and even on group calls, if you're answering questions, always using the caveat that this is not private, professional licensing. This is group coaching. Here's what I generally tell somebody in this scenario. But obviously in your particular scenario, always, if you need to, seek professional help, right? It's being very vocal about that kind of stuff. So somebody is always remembering like, oh yeah, I'm consuming this as a coaching program or educational program, not as professional licensed therapy.
That's right.
Yeah. So those two steps, making sure that you literally have set your businesses up the right way, and then examining everything that you do through either business and knowing very clearly which side it's on, and, following those rules, it's going to help you, it'll go a very long way to keeping you out of hot water. And then obviously, having proper disclosures and all the legal disclaimers and stuff in place as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great question, Arlene. All right. Any other questions today? I see Danielle and Larissa. Hi, Larissa.
Are we going to get a recording of this? Because I think whatever you just answered is going to be relevant to me as well.
Totally. It's recording, and I'll post it in the my YouTube channel where I usually do.
Okay, good. Because it's kind of along similar lines. I was a naturopathic doctor before I went into coaching, and I've been advised at various times now, that I should use my doctor title just to position myself as somebody different, like that I have a lot of experience and not just some,
random unqualified coach. I know.
Something on the scene, right?
Right.
And that translates into my work, but I've avoided it up until now just to avoid liability, because I don't have a practice anymore. I'm an inactive practitioner, and I have to designate that like Dr. Larissa Popov, ND, inactive.
Got it.
And anyways, if I was going to bring that in, I'm just wondering about the risks involved and how I should be. Is it even a good idea? Or if I could do that, how can I delineate myself? Because a lot of the work I do is inner work, and I wouldn't say it's the same at all as what I did as a naturopath. And there's a whole lot more that I did as a naturopath that I don't do as a coach. But
yeah,
anyways, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And one, just like I told Arlene, the first thing you want to do is examine your licensing requirements, right? So you're in Canada. What province are you? Ontario. Yeah. So start there, because you already know, like, if you're not active, you have to specifically label yourself as inactive, etc. I think it's fine to let people know that you were formerly, because you could also put former, especially if you're not practicing and you don't plan to practice, you could put former naturopathic doctor or whatever. Like you could designate it in some way where people realize that you're bringing the benefit of that knowledge with you to your coaching practice, but also making really clear through disclaimers and language that you use even when you're answering questions. I'm not providing this as a naturopathic doctor. I'm not your doctor. This is a coaching group. It's, generally educational content, informational only, right? And so it's about having all of the, basically I call them signposts, proper signposts in place at each step of the way that let people know what it is that they're consuming so that they're not misinformed or misunderstood. But I think it's fine to, like if you've got a coaching website, I think it's fine to use your title or in your bio, your about section, let people know, you were a naturopathic doctor and you had such and such experience. And that, is probably a part of your journey and what, at least one step along the way that led you to what you're doing now. And so I think you can totally share that information in context and use it to really inform people about your strengths and what you bring to your coaching practice without misinforming them and having them think that that's what they're getting is naturopathic advice from a doctor. Right?
Yeah. Because the only issue I have with that is the languaging around educational and informational only, because I do inner work, like I do healing, healing work with people. So,
and when you say you do inner work, what does that mean? How are you doing that work?
I work with people on, resolving their inner blocks around, emotional stuff, limiting beliefs, things like that.
So inner work, I mean, it's still coaching, right? You're doing that through like a coaching methodology. It's not like,
I didn't do this as a naturopath anyways. This is all new since I became a coach. So
Right. And that's the kind of thing that I would expect a coach to do. So I don't think that there's a lot that needs to be shared about that. I mean, obviously, you're going to have all the typical stuff, like people are responsible for their own results. You know what I mean? If they need medical attention or professional support, it's up to them to go get it, right? And so there's going to be other language that may be helpful, but I think it's, I still think that on the, whether you should disclose that you're a naturopathic doctor, I think that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I have been sharing that in my bio. I just haven't used it in my title or led with that. And like in my little description here, I don't put Dr. Larissa or anything like that.
Yeah. So. Well, and it, that could be a personal choice. So for example, I work with a gal who is a therapist, probably like Arlene, and yet on both of her websites, so she has a therapy website and then she's got a coaching practice website, right? But she has doctor on both of those websites. Okay. And so I think it's a personal preference how much you want to lead with being known as like Dr. Larissa Popov or, however you refer to yourself. And it may be that it's sufficient to have it on your website and have it on your bio and to occasionally mention it, but not be plastering that everywhere so that, because again, there becomes the risk of people thinking like, oh, I'm talking to a doctor about this. Maybe what I'm getting right now is, medical advice. So you'll just have to kind of decide for yourself what feels like an appropriate balance there.
Okay.
But certainly, anytime that you're speaking up in response to questions, you can clarify that for people, right? I'd rather people provide more clarity rather than less. So if you've got anybody, asking a question where you're like, they could misunderstand this, you'd want to go ahead and say again, providing this as a coach this is a coaching program. This is not medical advice, right? If you have any questions, you want to make sure you talk to your own practitioner.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
How clear you are about things.
Well, good. That's my job. I try to help people with clarity, so that's good. Hello to
Forrest.
Hi, Forrest. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm great. I've got a discovery call coming up later this week. But
oh, good.
Any comments? Yeah. Any special comments about online communities? Because I'm just starting out also, but I see online communities and Mastermind as part of my offering. And do you have any general comments today about that?
Totally. So in regards to running a community, and let's be clear that whether they're an in-person community, whether they're an online community, that brings unique risks in the door, versus somebody that is not having that community element. And that's because you're bringing people together and they can exchange information, they can say things to each other. Sometimes those things can be offensive, right? Like, we don't get to control what other people do. And so while community is wonderful, it also is an element of risk in our businesses. And so, Bridget just signed off, but there are some things that you can do that will help minimize that risk. So one is you have to think about, where are you hosting this community? There's a couple steps. How are they enrolling? What's the enrollment process? And then 2, where's it being hosted? Because you want to think about, again, this idea of signposts, right? Where, before they enroll, are you letting them know what the rules, what the playground rules are? And that's where, like Nan, who has my website protection package, right? Terms of purchase that are included in that package have a whole bunch of content specifically tailored towards memberships and online groups, because I've worked with coaches and I've worked with people that have put amazing groups together, and there's all kinds of things that can go wrong in the context of groups. So one is that you get somebody inside your group that really doesn't belong there, and they start causing trouble, right? They are posting inappropriate things, or they're being disrespectful to people in the group, or they're just irritated because your services are not what they thought they were going to be. And so, like, I had one client who had a client inside of her group who was running around trying to get everybody else stirred up. Like, oh, this wasn't what I thought. I'm going to ask for a refund. Don't you want a refund too? And like, trying to get everybody on board to basically say, this is terrible, we all want refunds. Other people were like, no, we like it, but you should go away. And yet they didn't have any control over whether or not this person left the group, right? And she didn't either, because at the time, before she became my client, she didn't have terms in place that allowed her to just remove this person. So you definitely, in your terms, you want to make sure that you have a reservation of rights that allows you to remove people for a variety of reasons, right? You want to have clauses that define the standard of communication and what's going to happen if somebody violates those rules. Another thing that we see, especially now, because everybody's online, is somebody builds up a fabulous online community, and then somebody else joins and does what is called data scraping, where they are not only scraping content from inside the group, but they're scraping contact information and names, and then they're targeting those people other places, like, oh, hey, come over here. If you like this, then come join my group where I do this, right? Inappropriate. Like, it takes a lot of energy and resources to build a group. And so, like, I've got a data scraping prohibition in the terms that I build, right? So it's things like that. There's a lot that can be done inside these groups that's beneficial, and there's a lot that can be done that compromises the people in the group and compromises your business. And so that's where having those terms in place and having them structured the right way, and making sure that you've got the signpost up so that when somebody joins the group, they consent, they acknowledge the terms of purchase related to that mastermind, related to that group coaching, whatever it is. And then, the second thing I would say, because I mentioned at the earliest part of the response to this question, is there's 2 things. How are they getting into the group? What's the enrollment process? And then where is the group, right? So if you are hosting the forum, let's say on Facebook, you've got a Facebook group set up, then you also want to post certain key terms in the Facebook group, right? Here are the terms of participation. Basically, you want them to be reminded of what the rules are and to have provided consent and have them clearly posted, so that if you need to take action and do something about somebody behaving inappropriately or violating the rules or causing risk for your business or somebody else in the group, you can remove them. So those are a couple of quick overviews, things that you can be thinking about. And it's really about, achieving constructive notice and then making sure that you've got the right terms to protect what you're doing. But, that's part of what I built by way of templates, documentation. And so if you've got any questions about that, I know we're scheduled to talk, Forrest. I can walk you through what those options are, or I can post, and I will post some links here, because I've got I've got my bundles on my site, and the website protection package is one that I've referenced that covers that particular thing. And then I've also got individual legal templates, and so those are available for people that are not ready for. How do I go to everybody? Weird, it's not letting me. Everyone, here we go. Change my chat. So there's, that's where you can go check out the bundles, including the website protection package. That's the one that I'd be looking at. If you're going to go online, you're really going to focus on building community, memberships, having online terms, for anything that you're selling. So hopefully that was helpful for us, but I look forward to talking with you later this week and learning more about your work and business. All right, great questions. Anybody else? Good. Forrest gave me the thumbs up. I see Life Enrichment Center. I apologize, I don't know your name. If you've got a question, you're welcome to unmute. You're also welcome to post it in the chat. Nan, Arlene, Larissa, if either of you, any of you have additional questions, you're welcome to pop in. Otherwise, if we're good, I'll wrap things up and see you next week. You're good? Awesome. Good to see you, Larissa.
I'm sorry, just a weekly event or?
For now it is. Next year, I'm going to be moving to monthly. So I'll have certain calls that are opened just for my clients and for people who have bought bundles and templates. But then I'm going to have once a month that's an open call for the public. So, and when I say public, I really still mean people on my list. It's not open to the public because I'm not interested in Zoom bombings. But it is going to be open to people on my list. So if you're on my list, you'll get that notification, and then it'll be probably once a month next year. Awesome. Thanks, Forrest. Good to connect with you. All right. Well, Nan, it's good to see you. I hope you get the tech help you need. I know the technology battle can be a big one depending on what it is.
Yeah, it's not my strong suit.
Well, there's just other things that most of us should be spending our time on. It's something that we have to learn and deal with and, put supports in place for. But yeah, it's not like we love being our own tech people. Most of us. Some do. Some really have the gene or whatever. I can make my way around, but I don't love taking the time to do that, right?
No.
Have you got some connections that will help you? What is the issue, just in case I know anybody who happens to...
I do have help.
You've got somebody. Okay.
Yeah, it was just to do with something on my website, and so I can contact her, so that's fine. I was just trying to do it on my own first.
I've done that too. I had my website, I don't know, something broke very, very badly, and my website was gone. This was a couple years ago. And I spent hours on the phone with my hosting company, what happened? Where is it? They couldn't figure it out. I spent hours trying to figure it out. And then finally I was like, I don't know how this happened. In a chat group somewhere, I got connected with this guy. I'm not even kidding, in Mongolia. I paid him $200 before he even did the work. And I woke up the next morning and my website was back and it was fixed. And I was like, oh, hallelujah, right? I had basically wasted an entire day. So this is where it just really pays to get connected to the right people that know website stuff. That was the happiest $200 I ever paid. Oh, you fixed it. It's back. I can run business again. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, well, good luck. Good to see you, Nan.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. You guys all have a great week. Take care, and maybe we'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.